brand new Highlander. This is the 2020
Yep.
Highlander Hybrid Platinum all-wheel drive. It's the mostest, bestest ever.
Everything. Just find the top rung. That one.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast, and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
I wasn't expecting to like this, but I feel guilty that I do. I didn't expect that. I thought, okay, it'd be fine. It's the hybrid version, and I'm sort of feeling guilty like we shouldn't. As enthusiasts, hot sports car, track drivers, we shouldn't like this.
But hang on.
I do.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel guilty about it because here's the thing. People buy all kinds of cars for all kinds of reasons. 5-seat SUVs, I can really argue you should have bought a car.
Okay.
If you really want to buy a 7-seater, if that's what you're looking for, you need more than 5 seats. You're into this, or you're into the big boys, the Suburbans and that kind of thing, okay? Yeah. Or you're getting a minivan. I would rather you were in this than a minivan. Minivans are crazy usable. They are crazy usable, but I would rather you were in this than a minivan. And the Highlander before this, I found like you have a version in that segment.
Just the prior generation?
Just the prior generation.
Okay. Yeah.
I think this is genuinely interesting in this segment.
Yeah.
I still think, and I'm going to put it right out there, I still think the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade are the class leaders in this segment.
It's competitive class, though.
But I think that this Highlander is really competitive, almost up there with those guys, like overlays in some categories as just as good. However, I am surprised to say this, having driven the normal version. Normal version is a 3.5-liter V6, just under 300 horsepower, about 260 pound-feet of torque, okay? This one, by the numbers, is less across the board in this hybrid. But we all know Toyota knows hybrid.
Yeah.
And this gets 35 miles to the gallon, which is 7 or 8 more than the standard. And I think, in spite of the fact it has a CVT, which, yes, is still abhorrent and sounds terrible and all the normal CVT
I have a thought on that, though.
In spite of those things, I think the hybrid version of this is the better buy because of the leaving the light torque fill that the hybrid provides you. It just glides away.
I'm glad you said that. I feel the same way. After driving the first Highlander, that was the V6.
Yep.
295 horsepower, good amount of torque.
Yep.
This is, as Todd said, far less. But we don't care. 3 observations for you.
Okay.
And that is, first of all, as you touched on, packaging. Toyota has figured out packaging. You've got a gas engine, you've got 2 electric motors, an all-wheel drive system, the inverter assembly, the battery pack for the hybrid drive system, the car battery, the gas tank, the spare tire, 7 passengers or 8, depending on how it's configured. And you also have to have all the gear in a comfortable, luxurious, or somewhat luxurious, stylish package. That's a lot to ask. So I think, well, wow, when you put it in that perspective, they've done a great job.
Yes.
And I like how it drives because of the CVT. I'm admitting to you.
Whoa, hang on. What now?
This is the only time I've ever liked CVT. Because electric cars don't have a shift. They don't have the judder, upshift or downshift.
True.
Pairing a CVT with a gas engine neuters the gas engine. It negates everything about the benefits of a gas engine, what we love about it. Revving it out, shift. Revving it out, shift.
Yeah.
An electric car doesn't operate that way.
Fair.
This system, the hybrid system, is not designed to feel that way. So when you pair a CVT already with the gliding electric motors, it's nearly seamless. I hate to use the word seamless. Nothing's ever seamless. Never use the word seamless.
This is true.
It's too far, but it makes it glide, as you said. It makes it just this gliding thing around the earth. And whether you're going fast, slow, picking up the kids, doing a road trip, it just glides.
I think that stop and go thing and the leaving the light and the sitting in traffic, the hybrid is the place to be. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I actually feel the same way about the RAV4 from Toyota right now because they've nailed that hybrid technology so well. And this is a big, 4,800 pound 7-seat SUV. You give it a motor, it's going to, until it finds the power of a traditional motor, it's going to feel like it's finding itself. This doesn't do that. This just leaves the light.
Right, but it couldn't do that without the CVT. And the lower power of the inline 4 makes it reliable. It's going to run a long time
Yes.
because it's a very under-stressed engine.
Yes.
But also, since it's low power, you can pair it with a CVT with the electric motor assist. This moves like an electric car.
It does.
With the benefits
It does.
of a gas engine and the long range. And you're getting good gas mileage.
I cannot believe that we have reached a place where you have actually said, I like this with the CVT. I understand why. No, I understand why. But
how
that
it
is
neuters
amazing.
gas
That is
engines.
amazing to say that we've reached a place where that is actually possible.
Otherwise, CVTs with just gas engines, no.
Please don't do that.
We know how that worked out,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
we, Nissan?
I'm finding myself of two minds about this new interface here.
This general area?
This whole
Okay.
shape,
Okay.
okay? I love that it's got Apple CarPlay. They've done a good job of mixing up the screens. You got multiple things going around here. We have multiple things going at once. It all works very well. It's fine. It's enormous. This whole shield shape is so very look at me. Now, thank you, Toyota, for having buttons that relate to the climate control, that have nothing to do with the touchscreen. You can be full map on the touchscreen, and you have all of your buttons and seat heat and seat cool, and they're buttons. I like buttons. They have a volume knob.
I was going to say.
That is amazing.
No complaints.
This shape here, though, is so gloss black look at me that I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Even though when I use it, works great.
I'm glad you're touching on styling, because that is point number 2, the second observation for what Toyota has done with the Highlander. My aunt has always owned Highlanders. The Highlander is in the category of people who just buy the next generation. Well, it's good and it works. Why don't I just upgrade to the next generation? It's no longer in that category because it's jumped from being just fine and some decent switches, but mostly it's just flimsy, cheap switchgear, to now being, wow, this is stylish and elegant. You look at this little lip right here where it's stitched, and it says to your eye, it's overlapped like leather chunks.
Good point.
And it looks like a saddle to your eye, even though it's molded. It's not.
Interesting.
But little details tell your eye, wow, this is a sense of style.
I see what you're saying.
I like what's going on. This hammer shape is actually on the exterior. It's that rear puffy side hammered thing over the rear arches that just makes you want to bash on things.
Rear puffy side hammer. That's
what it
excellent.
is.
I like that. That's good.
You see those shapes repeated around the car, and the wings that enclose the Toyota logo up front, those little wingtips extend past the grille, and it tells your eye the line around the shoulder. It starts to wrap, and you see where the designers actually sketched through all the way around. Otherwise, think of giant slabs of car. How do you make a tall body side and a large car look interesting?
Interesting.
Without just being flat and some cladding and a bumper and headlight shape.
Let's put lights and wheels on it.
Awesome. You've got my Expedition once you've done that.
True. Excellent point. Yeah.
So this has a sense of style that the Highlander has never had before. It's compelling, it's interesting, and it's even longer. It's 2.5 inches longer than the prior, the third generation. It's gotten bigger and more style and more aggression, and it's got this Thor puffy hammer thing with
the Thor puffy hammer.
I want to beat on things.
It is bigger than the prior Highlander, which makes it more usable, especially in the third row.
Yes.
Now it is, if you want to follow the numbers, and I like this comparison right now, it is actually still a little bit smaller in every dimension than the Telluride and the Palisade.
Okay.
Those are bigger. They have more room everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, like a few more inches everywhere. That's front, middle, rear seat, actual cargo, a little bit more. However, this is right behind them. And when you compare it to something like the Mazda CX-9, yes, which I like, it's getting a bit old now, it is probably the best to drive in this class, but you lose a lot of space for that trade-off.
Right.
And the thing is, I think this drives significantly smaller than it looks. When I climb in it, I think, it's got a good amount of space. It's a pretty good size. It's got a lot of visibility. This is going to feel big. And I drive in it, it doesn't feel big. And I didn't feel that in the non-hybrid either. I think both of these Highlanders drive smaller than the Telluride and Palisade, which don't drive big and obnoxious by any means, but I think this drives smaller than it is. And that is a good accomplishment. I don't think it's dynamic to drive, but I think it's compact to drive, and that's a victory.
It's compact, but it drives in a more stout, heavy way. It's more substantial than just sort of a flimsy middle of the pack SUV.
I agree with that.
That's very foreign to Highlander, and so it drives with a substantial, good, comfortable road feel.
I agree with that without feeling like it's enormous, and that's the point I'm making.
Okay, the third observation is build quality.
Okay.
You get in, and and you think the switches and everything you touch, wow, they've paid attention to build quality.
They have, yeah.
In
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Never before have I liked switchgear in just middle of the road. But for what it is, for $52,000, and that is everything.
That is
52.3s.
And you can't check more boxes than
Fully
this has.
loaded.
This is the top Highlander,
And it
essentially.
glides. It's easy to live with is the point.
Yeah.
You can just get in and you push the start button, you go. And it's just very easy. You don't have to really think much. And it drives well, and it's got cargo capacity. Load it up and go on a trip.
This is at 52 grand, 52.5 almost, 52 grand. This is $3,000 or $4,000 more than the loaded competitors. But I wonder when you get that back because of getting between 8 and 10 miles per gallon better in gas mileage. If you're going to use this as a road trip car, I feel like the hybrid is worth the extra buy-in, both for the leaving the lights and for the long road trips for your savings on gas mileage. Luckily, everything in this class is getting at least in the low 20s. The fact that this will pull over 30, the fact that it took us days in this to watch the needle leave full.
The last
That's
generation hybrid got 29.
I know.
This is up to 35. That's
Yes.
a huge.
Yes.
That's very substantial,
Yes,
and it's
it is.
compelling. Again, build quality, the style, the substance of the chassis, and the packaging. It's really well done, and it's surprising, and I feel guilty that I like it. It doesn't drive amazingly well. That's
No,
not
it doesn't.
the point.
No, it's never going
but
to.
But for the
Yeah.
target market, when a car hits its target market, does it really well, that's when I like it.
I agree. I don't think there's anything to apologize for liking this. I am surprised to prefer it in hybrid, having driven both versions. I am surprised by that.
I like the hybrid better too.
And look, here's the thing. $52,000, this is not a cheap family car. This is expensive still.
Cars are getting more expensive anyway, so...
But here is the place that I will give it props in spite of that. You don't get in this and go, why does this cost so much?
No, you don't.
You get in this and you go, $52,000 is a lot of money, but I kind of see where that went.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem I have when we see prices on new cars, whatever we drive, is if I get in it and I see the price and I go, you're kidding.
And you can't find the
We've
money.
driven all kinds of cars from 25 grand to 120 grand where we look at each other and we go, where did the money go?
You're like scratching things. Like,
yes, why is this so expensive?
Yeah.
At least at 52 grand, I get in this and I go, okay, I see why. I don't love that it costs that much. I wish it was 42 grand, but it isn't. That's not where we are
for
in
what
this
you're
class.
getting. Then you start naming off, I do get that. I get the space.
This is everything you can get in this class.
Yeah.
And I'm also surprised that it pulls off this color scheme this well.
So glad you said that.
A really good, almost sports car worthy red and an offset camel color interior. That's sports car thinking in colors. This is not a sports car, but yet I think it pulls off that color scheme. That's cool.
Ruby Flare Pearl is the name of the color.
At least it's not Moonstone like the last one.
I like Moonstone. It's got a bluish tint to it. This is glazed caramel interior. I think we should start naming our car colors and trim levels after food. Can you imagine? I got the bacon wrap date appetizer metallic paint with the chicken marsala interior, and I got the fried plantain, the off-road trim package.
Growing up,
sounds good.
My dad referred to any reddish maroon car as candy apple red, and I was an adult before I realized that was not a thing. I was just every car that was kind of reddish was candy apple red.
Pulls it off, don't you think?
It
makes it look tasty and compelling.
It does, yes.
Can you imagine?
I'd rather not, but at least it's good in hybrid form. Toyota pioneered this hybrid drivetrain, the Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder. It's all the stuff that's been in the Prius forever. We know that works, which means it will work here, and I am shocked to say it, but the Highlander you should buy is the one with the hybrid badge.
They've gotten really good at it.
Yeah.